also put this list of Future 50 challengers. We just showed it on the screen. These are companies that are on the fast track for growth, but aren't quite there yet. So how'd you come up with this list?
Well, the secret about the Future 50 is it's really two lists of 25. So we have the 25 big companies and the 25 challengers is what we called it. BCG didn't want to, if you're screening for growth, you're going to naturally get smaller companies. So that's why we did two separate screens to get the big companies that are still growing. The challengers are really the companies that are on the rise, not necessarily small companies, but they could be like $5–10 billion market cap companies. And you see a lot of software companies on the list overall, but especially on the challengers list. I mean, it's really like software is eating the world.
Well, that's what Marc Andreessen said years ago. Software eats the world.
Yeah, it's still true. It's true maybe more than ever. I mean, it's like Viva Systems, the #1 company on the challengers list.
And Workday has been taking market share from like the Oracles of the world for years.
Workday is huge. I mean, obviously it's a huge stock. Market cap is shot up. So these are companies that they're displacing traditional systems, and they're doing it with software and technology.
So on Workday, it's a perennial M&A target, right? And I just wanted to highlight the point you said, though, earlier. 64% of the companies in this list are software or online service providers.
That's incredible. Yeah.
So that highlights that this is the wave and this is the future of where we're going.
You want to find growth, that's where it is.
Yeah, but in every industry.
And one of the things that you've said is that a lot of companies that are using artificial intelligence are sort of higher on this list, but you also used artificial intelligence in developing this list, right?
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the really cool things that BCG did, is use this natural language processing to troll through 70,000 10Ks, like 200,000 different earnings calls, transcripts, and really look at the language that the management uses to talk about how they manage their own business. And so, I don't personally know the details of how the artificial intelligence did it, but it correlates certain words and the way they come together with performance.
So how far down did you guys dig? Like, how low did you go? Because a company like Salesforce, which is #1, they have a venture arm. We run a venture capital fund.
Right.
So Salesforce is actively out there looking to acquire early stage startups. Is there another 50 list of kind of the 50 fastest growing startups or early stage companies?
Maybe we'll spin that out. But one thing that BCG did do was look at the investments that companies make and compare it to high-performing VC funds to sort of get a sense of like how good their investments are.
Yeah,
so that's an interesting way.
You're hitting on something so important right now. I'm so glad you brought it up, Mike, because you're right. Salesforce has an arm that invests and acquires smaller companies. That's what a lot of these companies have. Amazon, other big technology companies. Intel. You're seeing large tech right now have venture capital arms, and they're acquiring some of the smaller no-names out there.
We have a story on Salesforce that goes deeper into what they're doing. They've bought 55 companies since 2006.
Exactly.
Yeah. And Marc Benioff, a lot of times, like, maybe he doesn't even exactly know what they're going to do with the company, but he knows there's an interesting technology, and they make an acquisition, and they figure out how it's going to impact their business and how to integrate it.
Is there a super surprise company for you? Because I'm looking at this list, and I'm not surprised by it, but I think people could be, is the Intercontinental Exchange. They run the New York Stock Exchange, but really those companies, the exchanges, have been focusing on data licensing. It's not really having
a lot of fintech mergers.
Exactly. Yeah. So is there a company on this list that surprised you the most?
Surprised me the most? I mean, I'm a little surprised. Monster Beverage is a really interesting company.
#20.
Because they've been growing fast for 20 years. And I don't drink Monster Beverage drinks, but a lot of people do. They're really smart about how they market their brand. They don't really do a lot of advertising, but they do a lot of really cool sort of sponsorship stuff. And they just, they keep growing that company year after year.
And the next leg of growth for Monster Beverage is over in China and Asia. So that's where they're looking to go. So if you follow the stock closely, you can see they've dominated North America, and they've slowly been making inroads and smart positioning in Asia.
Look at
also
that chart.
In fintech, we have MasterCard and Visa on the list, and I think that's really interesting because they seem like it's the card in your wallet, but they're really doing a lot of innovative things. They're trying to be the future of payments in all different forms.
Yeah. And when we talk about big tech companies or fintech companies doing acquisitions, early stage investing, there's also companies like Campbell Soup has has a venture arm also. So it's not just big tech that's looking to acquire small, innovative companies. I think it's across all different
Campbell's
industries.
Soup, wow. And these guys are competing with guys like you. So, we had Ann Winblad on from Winblad, who's a great venture capitalist, and she said, I'm competing with the arms of the of the SoftBanks, not SoftBank, of the
large corporations.
The large corporations, the large technology companies.
Imagine if the repatriation happens of the taxes of all those trillions of dollars overseas to these companies that they can then reinvest in small businesses, startups, things that are happening. So, I mean, not to tie this into the whole tax reform overhaul policy, but that could be a good next leg of growth for this economy.
Of course, they have to find the right things to invest in.
Yes, of course.
These lists are helpful. Brian, great to see you. Thank you so much. Brian O'Keefe joining us. We wanted to also, should we take a look at IBM real quick? I mean, IBM was obviously stalled in terms of its revenue growth. For 22 quarters, you saw declining in revenue. But yesterday, check out that stock yesterday, 9%. One of the reasons the Dow Industrials hit 23,000, just wanted to mention that.
And I think
is this a turning point for IBM?
I don't think so. I think when you see that type of move, so much of the volume in the markets right now is computer-driven or algorithmic trading. That, to me, smells like a short covering short squeeze.
All right, we will we'll keep watching IBM. Obviously, IBM, GE, two stories stocks that we want to look at today. Brian, good to see you. Thank you.